Thank you and welcome to Protect the P. I'm Webster Cox. This is my podcast where we talk about all things P and how you protect them. And today I want to say that this show is sponsored by Plaintiffs Investment Funding, LLC. And I've got Shayla Norman and Kelly Hodge here. I also have, if you remember from last year, my sister, Dr. Wendy Webster Jackson. Here's where they're sisters and we're sisters. So we're going to have a sister show. The very first thing I want to say is thank you to Plaintiffs Investment Funding for sponsoring today's show, and sponsoring just brought some tacos. They brought a P for Protect the P. Wasn't that thoughtful?
Yes. And you actually can keep that. So
can I? Oh, wow. Oh, thank you. Protect the P. So now, let me start off this way. I want to start with the sisters, Kelly and Shayla, because they are representatives of Plaintiffs Investment Funding Group. And first of all, I want to say, how do you protect your P? We'll start with Shayla.
Okay.
And then we'll go to Kelly. And then we're going to come back to you, sister.
Okay.
And then we're going to find out what their P is and how you protect it. And then we'll talk about me, which I always talk about what my P is and how I protect it. So that's what we're doing. And let's go. Giddy up.
Alrighty. So I'm Shayla Norman. I am one of the partners and VP of Operations for Plaintiff Investment Funding. I have been with the company now for 13 years in July. The company has been around for 18 years. And our primary focus, obviously, is plaintiffs, hence our name, Plaintiff Investment Funding. We provide pre-settlement funding for plaintiffs who are in a financial situation and need assistance while they wait for their case to settle. We try to be a bridge to the gap between the hardship and the settlement. How we protect our P, the plaintiff, obviously, is through perseverance, power. We are a resilient company. When I say perseverance, is because we've been in the industry for so long that we've seen the ups and downs when it comes to the industry. We know that it's not commonly promoted amongst plaintiffs because some people feel like it can be expensive and it can impede on a settlement. We try to get in front of that notion by assuring plaintiffs and attorneys that, number one, we're fair, we're flexible, we won't get in the way of a settlement. If there is a situation that arises in terms of the settlement not being enough to cover the actual balance, or if the client is not going to walk away with a lot of money because of whatever happenstance situation, we try to be fair and we work with each individual plaintiff by looking at their financial need, looking at the circumstances within the case, and deciding between the attorney and ourselves what is fair in a situation. So transparency is key, and we like to get in front of the negative perceptions when it comes to our service. Mm-hmm. So that is one way in which we protect our P, which is our plaintiffs, by being persistent, by being fair, by being transparent, and again, by being people ourselves, putting ourselves in their shoes, being empathetic, understanding what it's like to be in a financial hardship.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I'll give my opinion later after you all finish how I feel about it as the attorney who represents the clients. Go ahead, Kelly.
Well, my name is Kelly Hodge. I am VP of Client Relations for Plaintiff Investment Funding. And just to piggyback a little bit off of what Shayla mentioned, our P is the people. So I am on the front line in terms of our clients, and I protect that P through positivity. So there is not always a favorable outcome in terms of being able to provide clients with funding. So we go out of our way to offer alternative resources that would be beneficial to clients. There is a hardship on many levels. So clients have different needs when they come to us. They may be facing eviction or, needing food, needing clothing, needing help with utilities. So we always try to outsource in that way to provide clients with those third-party resources and avenues to meet those needs and just kind of point them in the right direction. So we just like Shayla said, try to keep people at the forefront of that thought process.
And not to interrupt, just like Kelly is saying, if we can't provide a client with funding, she has adopted this whole initiative where we are providing external resources. We actually just had a meeting with United Way in our office a couple days ago with some of the top executives, just discussing co-branding and how we can get involved in some of their community outreach and really just be a face in the community so that we're not just another funding company, but we're a funding company like no other.
Oh, that's very nice. I'm happy to hear that. Now, next, I want you, Dr. Wendy Webster Jackson, to tell us your P and how you protect it, and then we're going to kind of jump on into everything that's going on.
Sure.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm here to, I'll tell you the P. This is very impromptu for me. I think I'm going to go on a ledge and say purity. And the purity of people as
I'm
far
pure.
as... No, but let me explain
I
the purity
am.
of people. That yesterday, and I was telling my Twitter family, my Twitter group, my people, that I went to go to that peach truck that they had in Menards, at the Menards in Livonia. So I ordered these peaches like last month. They said, okay, we'll be there. So I pull up, I went to work. I said, I can go do some things before I go. We were supposed to be there between 12:30 and 1:30. No, 12:30 to 2:30. So I get ready. I'm finishing work. I get a text and it says, no, we're 15 to 30 minutes late. So, come on, but try to get there early. So I pull up to Menards and I see these lines and cars everywhere. In my mind, the peach truck, I thought I would pull up with my little pickup truck, show them my code, and then they would put the peaches in the back. But it wound up, I had to wait in this line for 1 hour. And my mother wanted to pop into me, who was a very impatient woman for waiting in line.
Your mother?
The thought of her, because she would leave.
Oh, you said our mother would pop into you. Right. Okay, gotcha.
Right. That part of me said an hour and looking and said, oh my God, the line was coiled all the way around the Goodwill. If you know that area in Livonia where Menards, Goodwill, and all that is. So just imagine from there. So it's all coiled. So then it's a diverse group of people. So we're all in line. So everybody's, of course, we're complaining like, what the heck is going on? People who have previously gotten these peaches, they're supposed to be so good now, but previously gotten these peaches, said all you did was go get your car and they load it and go. They said, we've never seen it before. If this continues, we won't come back next year. So we're like laughing. So we're waiting. I said, okay, I'll give it like 30 minutes of my time to wait in here because I want to get these peaches. I love peach cobbler. So waiting in line. So this couple was in line with me. So we're talking, chit-chatting. But the purity of people, we were all different people, but we all wanted our peaches. And we were all very disappointed. And I was looking, I said, what's the difference between all these hundreds of people lined up? Disappointed and upset that we have to wait in line for these peaches and what turns into a mob. So I was just looking. I said, okay, because we got everybody. So the husband and the wife who were behind me, they said, okay, the wife said, I'm tired of standing in line. I'm going to go shopping. Dear, you stay in line. So he stayed in line. And all we wanted were our peaches. No one had to try to force their beliefs or anything. And so we said, well, you know what? I bet you if it was really hot. They said, the day is nice. It's cool. The sun's not out. It's a nice temperature. I said, I bet you if it was really hot, people would have a temper. I said, I wonder that. And then me and another lady, I said, you know what? Or maybe they haven't got started drinking yet. Or if they have been drinking, they haven't got to the point. Yeah, she said not to that boiling over point. So we start laughing. I was like, okay, so she understands. She was probably one drinking. That's why I said her haven't got to that point. I don't know. I'm just saying. But to say that the purity of people that I think if you just go and hang out in a space, you could be different and get along. Because if now they're pushing this in the media that, okay, it's these race wars trying to go, that people are trying to push it. Oh, black people here, white people there. But I was with a whole group of people and I'll say no one came out. Everyone was respectful and we waited in line. I'm telling you, that was not a comfortable situation. And we were very irate, like, oh, wow. That just gave me more faith in people again. Like, okay, as long as there's nobody coming in there and starting mess, we were cool. So as my mother would always say, don't start none, don't be none. So I saw it in real life. I saw it yesterday. So that was my experience of protective purity of just people who have a common goal and can work together peacefully.
Okay.
Purity of that. That's all I can say.
So you've got some peas out there. We had the peaches. Did you go get those peaches? Well, how was the peach?
I don't know yet. You have to let them wait for like 2 days because they continue to ripen.
Oh, okay.
So then you keep some in the refrigerator. You put some out in a little bowl and then let them ripen for like 2 days. But they're starting to get soft. So I felt it today daily checking like the little Discovery Channel or National Geographic, little kids checking the monkeys on the tree, checking, or she's touching to see if it's ready to eat. I said, no, they're not ready. So we'll check tomorrow. But I will let you know. I'm going to put it on Twitter because I told them my whole ordeal of how I said it was terrible at first. But then after that, I said, you know what? I had a good time. We had good conversation. You know, it was a good vibe out there. And we were in our, so it turned out great. So anyway,
okay, so
but I don't know the peaches.
Okay, so you got the peaches. Mm-hmm. So you protected the purity of the people, and then you brought in the LBQ. But anyways, well, everybody has a P. Whether you bought your P, had it, whatever, everybody has a P. And I'm just saying that we all need to protect our P. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy that the peace was protected.
It was
with you. And the farm around the Menards getting these peaches.
Okay? In our line. Now, I don't know what happened on Middle Belt where it was all these accidents and police situation down at 5 Mile in Middle Belt after I left.
Okay, but we're not there.
No, we weren't there. I didn't know my P was protected, so I went a different way when I saw all that. I just said, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go up Linden Street. I don't know what's going on down there, so I just went home with my peaches. That was it.
And then we talked about the perseverance of your company that's been around for 18 years.
Yes, ma'am. 18 years.
And both of you are VPs.
Yes. Yep.
I'm really impressed with Adam. No, that's not the.
Adam was an account executive of ours. We've parted ways since you've last spoken with him.
Oh, okay.
He's a great guy. He's going to do a lot of amazing things in life, but he's a young guy. He still has some things to figure out in terms of his career path. So we support him and wish him well, but definitely, the show goes on.
Okay, no, I thought Adam was the son of the owner.
No, he's not. He's a good friend of his son. Let me back up. The owner is good friends with his father.
Okay, I thought there was son. I thought he was a son because I remember he and I want to say the old man. He and the old man came into the office one day, and that's when that's what he was, the old man. And I thought Adam. I thought they even said this is my
Shayla
son.
is actually one of the partners as well.
Partners,
partners
are different. Okay, so that's wonderful. That's what I'm saying. So for 13 years, so that's wonderful. So you get a piece of the.
I do. I have equity in the company. There's 3 other partners: Stephen Nellick, Brian Shapiro, and Mike Ramey. All local, all very, very intelligent guys, very business oriented and great at what they've done in life. They come to the table with a level of expertise that is inspiring. And when they purchased the company in January of 2024, they invited me to a seat at the table just based on my knowledge and understanding of the company. So
that is really nice because I can tell you something. I started my firm back in 2007. I was at Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I just knew Blue Cross Blue Shield was going to hire me, and they did not. So I thank you for that because I said, no, I know where I can go and be a CEO. And I remember my mentor at the time, Frank Jackson, said, where? I said, for myself.
That's right.
I was never allowed to play in the reindeer games. And that's what I called the reindeer games. And I don't think you ever played in the reindeer games.
No, I was never banned out. But with her bringing up the reindeer games, I'm going to talk about I won't name names.
But I think it's wonderful that you are able to,
yes.
and that your expertise and your knowledge was recognized and appreciated for you to be
for her to stay.
Oh, absolutely. For 13 years to be true to the game.
Thank you. I appreciate that. In addition to that, of course, as women, and I say this because women I know to be a resilient group all in our own right. I'm a licensed realtor. Kelly is as well. I have a small business in local Detroit. It's a event space actually, and it's 2 years that we've been open and we're doing well. So outside of Plaintiff Investment, we're still empowered in our own right. But I think it's important that if you are with the company as long as we have been, and you are recognized and you are put on a pedestal, so to speak, it makes a difference because it means you're appreciated for the knowledge and your what you bring to the table is invaluable. So I appreciate that these guys recognize that enough to put us in the position that we're in.
Yeah, totally. Now, wait a minute. Hold on. You were saying something.
I was going to say not to name names, but being kicked out of the reindeer games is not a bad position, because all the ones, I went to Cass Tech. I graduated in 1999, and I was...
No, you did not graduate.
No, 88. I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry. No, I graduated from medical school in 99. I'm sorry. But Cass Tech, 1988. So it's just, that's a whole world away. But yeah... It is a good thing I didn't play in the reindeer games back then because now as we meet as different adults in our past, we were never had any beef from back then, it's just, meeting again as just regular people. So I'm just saying it's not bad. So people out there, You do not have to always play in the reindeer games.
Can you? I'm a little lost on reindeer
Oh,
games.
that means you're part of the group.
Okay.
I had to make my own.
Is that like the who's who?
Right.
You're
part of it. It's not insulting or anything.
No, I'm not insulting. I just wasn't clear.
Right off. Okay, so Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had very shiny nose. I'm like the Rudolph.
Okay.
I've always been sort of the one that
the outcast.
I was the outcast. So always the one that just I had to just kind of figure it out on my own because for whatever reason, I knew that it was hard for me. No, I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Michigan for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I went to law school. They paid for me. They paid for part of my law school for me to go, and I just knew that they were going to. I just knew. I went to law school. I studied contracts because I just knew I was going to work for Blue Cross Blue Shield and be in their contracts. Mm-hmm. I was going to handle that part of it. Mm-hmm. And so I was very disappointed when I was told, nope, Lisa DeMoss does not hire people who graduated from your law school.
Yep, it's all politics.
It really is.
Lansing is like that too.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. So then the next thing that happened was I started out on my own, and we're talking about I took my pension and whatever else money they had for not profit sharing because I wasn't in the union, 401k, and took that money and I just started out, but it was rough because I had to go to courts, and that's when I started to sign counsel, and I had to. I remember Judge Ewell telling me it's a hustle. You got to get out here and be serious about what you're doing. And I just got out there, and for the first pretty much 13, 14 years of my practice, I did criminal defense, and I did Wayne County probate, guardianship reviews. I was working in Washtenaw County criminal defense. I assigned counsel. I also was in Washtenaw County probate and assigned counsel. I was on those lists, and I did that, and that allowed me. I worked misdemeanors at 36 district court, various district courts, and that allowed me to be able to take care of my daughter and take my daughter all around the world. Wow. Then I remember seeing the civil girls, and they were so sharp. I always believed in training and just going out and participating in things, and I saw the civil girls, and I said, "Oh my God, I got to be a civil girl," because they were sharp. So then I went to training for auto no fault. And auto no fault, so I couldn't just jump right in it. I at least went to a training. And then that might have been in 2017. I went to my first no fault. It was ICO, had a no fault training. I went there. And then when I went there, I was still doing my criminal defense. I was still doing what I was doing. And it wasn't really until maybe 2019 that I partnered with another attorney who said, "I'll show you." But in the meantime, I was still going to auto training to get that. I was in school. I was still going. And then he took me under his wing. He mentored me. And as a result, it just, that's the thing about it. Whatever you want, you can have it. You can have whatever you want because the universe just brought me what I needed and brought me the people. So everything I have, I prayed for and asked for. And I'm so appreciative of that. And then I'm also appreciative of companies of your company because you will help my clients. Now, it's a double-edged sword for me because I do feel as if some of those rates are usurious. I think they're just, sometimes I'm like, oh my God. And I always tell my client, because I'm for my client first. Mm-hmm. And I always tell my clients, like, listen, some of this can be, you might end up having to pay 3 times as much. And then you're going to look at me, and I'm not taking weight from my feet because of this. So is there any way you can work this out? Mm-hmm. Try to work it out. Absolutely try to work it out.
I'll tell you how. Because we won't stand in the way of a settlement. If a client is being upset or irate because they see that they signed off on an advance that has double, first of all, we have a 2x cap. So it's 2x plus the initial investment. If a client is upset or if there is just not enough money, like I mentioned before, we won't stand in the way of a settlement. What we'll do is work with you, the attorney, to come up with something that's amicable for all. Now, if it's a situation where she's going to just get an obscene amount of money and she or he is just upset because they don't like the numbers, sometimes that's a little tougher to deal with, but we're almost always giving out courtesy reductions just to keep the client off your back as an extension of courtesy to you, the attorney, our relationship. And we also look at the client in terms of their lifestyles, the situation that brought them to us in the first place. if they need the money because they're going to be on permanent disability and this is what they have to live off of. We look at all of that stuff and we try to come up with a number. I myself personally, I was chief negotiator for our company for over 10 years. So all of those types of cases will come to me. And I always get to know our plaintiffs. I have solidified relationships with attorneys just based on the handling of cases like that. So
I think that's nice. I really do. I still stand by what I say is that it's not the very first place I tell a client to go. I definitely have them if there's any way you can work this out any other way. And then when they say no, I've got to, because at the end of the day, you're in business, and I understand and appreciate that, and I want you to get your money. So it's not a thing of because I figure whatever you say your price is, that's your price. Now it's very nice to know that you'll negotiate, and that's wonderful to know. So that's out there. They are willing to negotiate. I know there was one. I remember my very first time having to negotiate with a company. The client, I had gotten the client after everything was done, and there was a bill, and they was like, no. They owe the money. And this person, and I'm talking about the settlement was so low because it was part of a provider suit. So the providers got most of the money.
Yeah.
And it was really,
typical. They will say no. But here's something to consider too. Most of the people that come to us, like you said, you suggest they go and seek out alternative resources. We suggest that too because we get it. But most of the people that come to us are not bankable. They're not financially stable. They don't have the credit score to get them in a traditional loan. We are very high risk in that regard. So our fees make up for that type of risk. And you have to remember too, we're very inexpensive in the first 12 to 18 months. The fees get more expensive post 18 months because that's typically indicative of a problem with the settlement. If a case doesn't turn over quickly, then that means that most likely we'll end up in a negotiation anyway. So we base our pricing on those factors. It's an industry standard. We're very comparable when it comes to our competitors. And again, we're not corporately structured, so we do have the flexibility to be fair in any and every situation. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
I absolutely agree with you. And with that, I think that a person who decides to, I think everything you said and the way that your company is structured and what you're willing to do is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Again, so I don't have a problem. I think there's two of you that I really like working with. I won't mention your other competitor because like I said, there's two of you that I like working with. But one thing about it, I always want to make sure that you are compensated because you're in here to make money. Now, the thing about it is I will, if a client if it just happened, I say, please try to hold off because I know once we file a suit, we've got 2 years and it's going to just take some time. So I'd rather them get a loan later than sooner. Later than sooner.
Agreed.
So it's one of these things that it can work out any other kind of way. I'm not going to say it's nice that you all can be because you're a banker. You're a banker of sorts. Now, one thing is what you've got kind of your real high risk, which is be a loan shark, right? Right? You don't want that. You've got other kind of banking institution. That's where you've got your what is it, jewelry and loan. You know what I'm saying? Who are those? The
Pawn shops.
Pawn shops, right? The pawn shops.
To get that quick money.
To get quick money. You get your quick money. And you've got, and I'm not going to say, I don't know what comes in between, but then you got you guys, right? You all,
without naming names, what do you like about the other company?
Wait, before you answer that though, I want to your point, there are all these different entities and, the plaintiffs will find their way to one or the other. I don't like to look at it from a linear perspective. I like to look at it as a landscape because it's not going to be, what works for one is not going to work for the other. It's a need basis. So you have one client who might have a perfect credit score who just took a financial hit and can't go to work because, again, they're in this catastrophic they're in a catastrophic injury and they need some financial assistance. They may be bankable. They may go straight to a bank. But if there's someone who has a credit score that's less than 500, companies like ours work with people like that because we're not looking at the individual, we're looking at the merit of the case. So, it's not really so much that we're on a scale from, the loan sharks, which are the lowest of the totem pole, to the actual banking industry. It's more of a landscape where we're just a resource that fits in, and if you need it, you need it, and if you don't, you don't.
I like Shayla.
Where we
I'm
are.
listening to you because you're convincing me on this company. You got me thinking, if I see my patients and they ever get in that situation, you convinced me listening to you that they may not get in a bad situation
Oh,
dealing with your company.
It's not a
You
bad
know,
thing.
like really, you guys are
appreciate
selling
that.
your company good.
Well, we're
And-
hands-on. You
yeah,
know, we're
and I can
VPs,
tell
so
you're-
these clients have access to us. They can they call me regularly on my personal cell phone.
Yeah,
And we
that's
like
good.
that approach. And
Person.
I'll tell you ladies why, and this is me being very transparent and candid. You can't empathize with people unless you've been in their shoes.
Yeah.
We come from very humble beginnings where we actually have been there and we understand from experience.
Yes.
So that's what makes us fair and flexible.
Yes.
It's not because we're just in it to make money.
And
I wouldn't stick around with the company for 13 years if I wasn't treated like a family member.
Right.
So, you know, when you think about reindeer games and things like that, I think it's outside of what we have here. We're very fortunate and blessed because we have people around us who actually empower us and believe in us. And we're able to extend that to the customers that we work with.
That's good.
we're
Well-
passionate about that as well.
Yeah, and as you should be, but I don't want to, and I don't know if that's how it came out. Again, reindeer games is not a bad thing. If anything, we're the people when we say we don't get to play. We're the people who were the rejects. We're the people who maybe your company did not talk to us, right? Maybe we're the people who had to go to the loan sharks. We had to, and we still survived and thrived and still made it. So the bottom line is, there's no right or wrong to it. I think it's all degrees of where we are and how we want to see things.
Right, a
You know?
landscape.
I still
you see the whole thing. I like that.
I think it is. I mean, I don't know if
Trees,
I
bushes, plants,
there are plenty of
flowers,
things on there.
people
It's
over
variable.
there.
No,
It's
I
different
get your
things.
point exactly. I
So-
agree with you.
Right, everybody's not there. I mean, sometimes you got to. The bottom line is that when you need it, hey, and if somebody's willing to give it to you, because that's how much you're worth. When somebody else believes in you and believes, that's what you're worth. What somebody's willing to help you.
I don't know that I agree with that. I kind of disagree because it's all about internal first. It's what you believe you're worth, and then that is going to be energetically transferred onto the folks around you. It's not the opposite, because if I internalize someone else's perception of what I'm worth, then I've already limited myself.
Yep.
No. So then you didn't hear what I had to say, or you didn't. I'm not explaining it correctly. Because at the end of the day, if somebody's willing to give me $1 million, then they believe for whatever reason. Now, I definitely think I'm worth more. But then if you're in a situation where you need that, there's plenty of people out here who have business plans. They're looking for the VCs, right? They're looking for the angel investors. They're looking for somebody to help them get to where they have to go. So all I need is for so many people to help me. If all these people help me, that does become my net. That does become what my worth is. Because I have a plan and I have an idea that I believe is worth a whole lot more.
Okay.
But you need that money. So it's not as if you don't need the money. So I'm not going to say to someone that, oh no, I'm happy somebody was willing, because it's a lot for you to go ask somebody. It is a whole lot for you to listen to what they have to say, evaluate it to see if it makes sense. I had somebody come to me this week asking me for about $5,000 for something, an investment. And I said, wait a minute, I invested before and I still haven't got my money back from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to invest in you anymore. I'm just not going to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, you are not worth that to me. You're not, I'm not going to give it. I got it. I'm not going to give it to you. So yeah, I stand on that as far as if somebody's willing, that's how much you go. As far as I've got student loans out there, I'm not going to, those people educated me. That money was used. That money, no one went out and took that money and bought crack with it. That money was used for my education. They believed I was worth however many hundreds of thousands of dollars. They believed that, and they helped me.
Yeah, I think we're looking at it from two different perspectives,
I think
honestly.
too, so
because, you know, on one hand, it's like that's a business for student loans to be dished out. They're in a business to make money like we are.
Right.
You know, so I don't place a value on what a plaintiff is worth, or, you know, even if you talk to someone who's an unsavory plaintiff, if you will. They don't show up to depositions. They don't make it to IMEs. They're combative with their attorney. We may turn down in advance just based on those elements, and they may have a slam dunk case. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's not really so much that we're placing value on them, so to speak. We're evaluating the risk. And I think when someone offers you, like you mentioned, if they say they want to invest $1 million in your company, I've always been raised in the school of thought that, hey, if someone sees that your company is worth $1 million, make them pay you too. Because at the end of the day, when you are offered an amount, then chances are the value is much more than what you're offered. Yeah. So that's why it's important for us to see the value in ourselves first and know our worth, so that when we are in a position to negotiate on our own behalf, we know that we can aim much higher than what's presented to us and somehow even fall in between. but you never start at the baseline, because that's not negotiating against yourself, if that makes sense.
Well, I don't know whether it makes sense or not. The issue becomes if there are sometimes, and again, I think we are saying the same thing, just in a different way. I don't disagree, but I think when somebody's out there looking for, that's what people are evaluating. How much am I looking to make? Because of course, I'm not going to get into something and I think I'm not going to make anything. I'm getting into something because I think I'm going to make something. Because I'm not just giving. Because you can do what? You can be an investor. You can be okay, I'll loan you the money. I can invest in it knowing that you might lose it. You can be a lender, or you can be you can gift it away. You're not getting anything back. An investor knows they're taking a risk, and the lender knows that, okay, I'm doing this because hopefully I can make an extra amount, get my money back, and make something else from it. And from there's a group of you in this landscape, and what you do is just what you do. So I think it's a service out there that has been helping people, and people are appreciative of it. They're definitely appreciative of it when they get the money, and whatever they do, they do with it. But it's just there. It absolutely is.
So I'll say this too. We've been around 18 years. You've never seen a TV ad or a commercial or heard a radio ad from us. You haven't seen a billboard for us or any of that. We've been around for 18 years. When we started out, there were maybe about 5 companies like ours across the country. Now the industry is oversaturated. It's more than we can even count in terms of how many competitors are out there. The reason why we've withstood the test of time is because, number one, our relationships are solid, because the things that we say we're going to do, we actually have done and have proven. I'll give you an example. It's not always about the money, right? It's about the plaintiff, the person, the people. So I had an attorney come to me and say, hey, a client is interested in borrowing. He isn't sure because he's afraid that the fees are too much and he won't have any money at settlement, but I need to get this guy some money because he doesn't have groceries to feed his children. Did we push him to have us fund the case? No, we sent him $300 worth of groceries and told him, come to us if you need us. And that was the end of it. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about, dollars and cents. Yes, data and analytics is important when you're trying to scale a company and make it successful, but it always boils down to the people, because without plaintiffs, we don't have a company. Yep. So we try to keep that human side of things very pronounced and live and well.
Okay. Can I say something?
Sure.
Because this AI that they have out now. So they're thinking it can replace people in a lot of things. And I'm saying, if I had a company to choose, let's say that your company almost could be AI, but it could never work because people, you can't replace humans interactions. Right. Because I was trying to do something with Delta online, couldn't get it done. So then I called, tried to get it on the phone, still couldn't get it ready. But when I got to a person, she did it in like 2 minutes. She understood what I was talking about and everything. So I was listening. I said, you know what? That would be the difference, how you're making a point for your company, as opposed to somebody saying, let me get an AI startup and do the same thing. You're going to stay the test of time because you have that human interaction.
Thank you.
And that's what I'm just listening. So when you see someone who's passionate about their work, because I see you're passionate.
Oh, yeah.
You got a little rah-rah. I was like, okay. She's like, hold on.
Kind of rah-rah.
She did. But she's passionate about what she does. She studied. She paid her dues. She took her whoopings if she had to take her whoopings, and she stayed true to the course. So, and I hear it as your survival in your field, and you got your prize for doing that. But then the second thing I wanted to say is, you were saying how sometimes if you have a patient that doesn't show up for certain things, is there a database? Mm-hmm. There is a database for sucky clients?
Oh, no. I'm just following you. No.
Oh, no. I was wondering, is there a database?
I haven't done the research. I mean, I'm sure.
How do you know the people or don't go to court?
Well, we communicate directly with our attorneys. If we call and get a case update and they say, hey, hold off on an advance because this client has been a little flighty, then that's the intel.
I got you.
But that's also a part of the reason why a lot of our process is not automated, and you don't call in our office and get a robot voice. We are having those interactions. We are building that rapport with clients as well. So as Shayla mentioned earlier, if a client is displaying, behaviors that are not necessarily savory or unfavorable, it's like we assess that and we address it, appropriately. But we also have those direct conversations where a client is saying, listen, I have 3 kids in the house and my lights are going to be cut off tomorrow. So we hear you and we understand that. We're not dismissing it. We are going to do all that we can to assist you in that regard. Everything that's in our power. So
yeah, that's a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
That's what it's about. It's absolutely what it's about. And that's what this is. I wanted you all to come on. I invited you on because I thought it would be a great topic to see from a business, because I'm in a business, you have a business, and your perspective on what you want to do for the plaintiffs and why honestly they should choose you over a competitor. But I think the question was, what was the difference between?
no, so
I said
I
there's
know
two.
you mentioned that there's another company that you have worked with, and I wanted to know, what do you like about them?
You know what? The reason I work with that person as well is that honestly, we were I met them through a doctor. And then I think I met them out in Vegas for TLU. And we hung out in Vegas and they were pretty cool. They were pretty cool.
It's
And
funny you
then
say
they have
that.
hold on, and then they have a cap. So they have a cap as well on how, so it doesn't go on and on, this loan goes on and on. But I have a very clear with that person as well. So I'm not crazy about this. I really am not. Because they also have something where attorneys can, for financing cases, if you want that. But again, they're not necessarily financing all the cases.
Right.
They won't do it. So certain cases you won't, certain cases you will. But that's pretty much how that happened. I mean, for me, the money's still green. It's just how much more are you going to want to have? And what I stand on is that if this is the amount that you say that you want, then okay, I've got to be, yeah, perhaps. And maybe it was just that one experience with one company that I just sort of inherited that case. And they were like, no, we don't negotiate. I'm thinking, oh my God, my client's only getting X amount. And I didn't want my client to be in that situation. But they were like, no, we're not negotiating. This is the amount they owe. We don't care. And that was my very first taste of a funding company, a lawsuit funding company. And I said, oh my gosh. So that's why I'm like, oh my God, these people are going to and even though we can always say, oh yeah, we will work. I guess I haven't had an experience right now where I know I haven't had anybody say, hey, I've got your money. You want to say, hey, you want to keep it, keep part of that. I ain't had nobody say that. They've always said, I said, okay, I got it.
I
got it.
sincerely
Okay.
appreciate that you had, that somewhat negative experience, and you still invited us here to be able to kind of showcase and highlight and go into a more deeper dive. Because I feel like, yes, as we are a part of that industry, we are so separate. Our headline is a funding company like no other, because it's so true. We like to separate ourselves from those type of experiences, and one of our P's is our process is tailor-made to our client. We have that flexibility and that ability to tailor our process.
The client being the attorney.
Yes.
You. So you will be our client. The actual plaintiff is an extension of you.
Yes.
But I could appreciate also when you said that you met that person at the other funding company kind of in an organic experience out in Vegas or wherever. That is what has carried us for 18 years.
It's
organic relationships only. But you don't get to hold on to relationships for 10 plus years if you haven't proven yourself and your work.
Right.
So
that's why I say, between the two, I've got two that I really, and it's your company and the other company that I will work with. But so what I am very clear on is that Dion Webster Cox, is not giving them money. I have no control over this. Their money. If they want to say no, they say no. If they want to say yes, they say yes. That's it. I just answer the questions they ask of me. What the case is about, what the limits are. I answer those questions. I have no say-so. At the end of the day, I have nothing to do with it. It's them. They say no.
That's true.
Not me.
Yeah, that is true.
Not me. So yeah, that's that. So now personally, because this is the sister show, I think it turned into the sister show.
which is really cool. So you guys are 2 years apart. Like we're 2 years apart. I think that's awesome. The universe is doing its thing.
Yes, I'm just trying to see how this plays out. I'm just looking like, what are we?
I also love that you led the podcast with prayer. I think that's important. You know, not diving too deep into it because I know everybody has their own belief system, but I think touching and agreeing and having a meeting of the minds is important, especially being women in power positions.
Yes.
So, you know, I appreciate you starting us off that way.
Thank you. That's how I roll. You know, that's anybody who knows me and say, yeah.
Well, one of the pieces that you mentioned I was very interested in, and it's kind of one of the things that drew me to you was the politics of it. And your positions in politics and, you know, you forging paths and just civil rights and social justice. Certainly appreciate that. So if you guys could dive into that a little bit, I'm so intrigued.
Sure. Okay, so my political background is in 2020, I ran for Southfield City Clerk. Someone approached me, a gentleman that I had just met 2 weeks ago, Vance Patrick. I met him. He was running for state senate or something. I can't remember. But I said, okay, I never saw him before, but I met him. I said, okay, I need to give you a party, a fundraising party at my house. So he came to the house. He met some people. Some other people came. And then a couple of weeks later, he said, do you want to run for Southfield City Clerk? And I was like, oh, okay. You know, why not?
Just so Saturday,
yeah, right. Thing. So, you know, because the only reason I did it, they're like, the current clerk is under election fraud charges. She was getting ready to go to jail.
Yikes.
And no one stepped up to run against her. And I said, you know what? In this country, I refuse to believe somebody could be indicted of a crime and sail right in.
You know,
I didn't like it.
Okay, I get it that you didn't like it. But the thing about it is this, and I'm just going to say it's something when I hear, and I guess you all don't need to really understand the process because when you say it wasn't an indictment, it was, you know, she was charged with those crimes.
Okay.
And it's not getting ready to go to jail because she hadn't been convicted of those crimes.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you know,
okay, well, get it right. Get it right.
You get it right. Okay. I got it right.
I'm saying they tell us to get it right, but all I'm saying is she should have had her name, nothing to be associated with that. You're a clerk. Remember, the clerk keeps track of every transaction that goes on. Their word is like bond, okay? They swear they're going to keep the correct information. You do not want a clerk that will misinform or write the wrong thing under any pressure. You don't want that. So, however, that was the first thing, and went to that. So I got kind of in it. They were surprised. I got like over 5,000 votes.
In a primarily, we're gonna say it.
What? In Democratic? I'm a Republican. I don't care. I'm a conservative person. Do I agree with everything our president does? No, I do not. But I've served God, and the person that's saving kids from being mutilated, castrated with the transgender care. He put a step to that. He says a male and female. Hey, I serve God at the end of the day. That's good enough for me. Now, I can't get into the rest of this. If you're not honoring what God says to do in some ways on the core, I will not be involved. So I would have loved to be a Democrat, unfortunately, and I don't want to go Democrat, Republican, had they agreed with some godly paths, and they did not. So,
okay, there it is.
And yes, that's why I will never be, I'm not that successful in Southfield, but I'm successful enough for people to say, how is she so successful? And she's the opposite party. In the last race, I got like over 9,000 votes against the incumbent or who was appointed. So I do that, but I'm a person that believes in causes. If you have a good cause, and I love to help the young girls. So I want them to get a voice, you know. And me personally, I take my kids to all the campaign things. I always have. Because they need to see even if their mother is getting booed because, oh, you're Republican, boo out. They've seen me get booed. They've seen the bad parts. They've seen me get clapped. Applause. They've seen me get all attacked as far as, questions. But it's okay. But my kids are like little warrior kids. I said, you can see mom do this, you can get through anything. And it has changed how they look at life over time. So they're not afraid to take challenge, to do changes and challenges. They're not. They just do that. And I take them all over the world too. So anyway, so politics. So I've run for state rep and, I've done that, but anyway, but politics, I do love it, but I'm not running for anything right this season. So I'm going to tell my people from Twitter, if you saw this, I will give you the update on it. Some juicy things going on in one Southfield election. I'm not saying if it's mayor, clerk, or city council. After the primary, I will tell you all because I have got all the intel, okay? But I don't want to influence the primary. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you for that. So that's what I do. I swish in and out, but,
Okay. Very good, sister. You did a very good job.
That's what I am.
So with your background in politics and, after this understanding of our company and what we do and what we're passionate about, what would be some advice that you would have for us if we are trying to streamline and become more socially active and more present in those spaces? What would you recommend?
I got you. I would recommend that you go to different meetings that maybe when they're doing judicial, they bring their attorneys in, they might try to get judicial candidates because they may not win their position, but they still may be a lawyer and who would need your services. So you can always say, oh, if you ever need it, I'm here. So it's different ways you can get into those spaces. Because I don't think you guys care Republican, Democrat, right? As long as you have a client that would do that, or
the politics is separate from
right. Okay, good. So
people are people. Right.
Yeah. Thank you. I love to hear that. We all are. And that's why I said the experience at the Peach Truck just really got me to remember. It
kind of brought it.
It did. It's a good thing. Small things like that. And now here. But I'm so glad to have met these ladies because, as I said, because Attorney General is coming up. That race is coming up. And you got Jueski. He's Republican running against that Karen McDonald.
No, I thought Eli Savage out of Ann Arbor.
The one who used to run for mayor for Detroit?
No.
Said? No, Karen McDonald's definitely running for
okay.
That. But anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is not about the whole
I know, but
politics. This was about your story and what you did with politics.
And that's what
this is about my story of how I bring people on and how they talk about how they protect their
But she did ask a question.
Yeah,
I was going into it. And she wanted to know how can they slip in because they always want new client bases, new attorneys, right?
Well, yes, and we also want to expand our presence in terms of interacting with the community and being a pillar
and that's
in
where,
those spaces.
And that's really pretty much, I think, where you would go would be to different community events. I have an attorney in my office he has his own separate law firm. So it's not as he doesn't work for me. It's nothing like we're not partners or anything like that. We do work on a couple of cases together, but again, it's separate and distinct. He is big on hosting community events where I think that would be great for you all to attend just because, and they're mostly for people who may have been something happened.
And does he use a platform to advertise those events? Is it just his social network, like social media, or how is his outreach in terms of bringing people into those events?
I think he does still put it on social media. His name is Attorney Darnell Barton, and he had something for Mother's Day, and it was for mothers that had lost a child. Yeah. So I'm thinking that would have been a great event for you all to be a part of, to even sponsor. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
I think
always looking for sponsorship.
Absolutely. So I think that would have been a wonderful venue. And I would say that, and he's big on community service. Huge. I would also say when you talk about the different municipalities, besides who's running for what, I would say the different fire departments or police departments, when they have or different city events, go to those and see if they possibly have a table out.
Okay.
Because that would help you.
Okay.
That's where people are coming from the community. And
I've got a good event for you guys.
Yeah.
If you want to pop in, I'm doing a thing. My autistic nephew Quinn, and I'm just leaving by autistic because our autistic nephew, I've raised him since he's been 4 years old. Right, caused a lot of trauma and drama. But
you or him,
from us because we were attacked for raising. Because it was like we took it. But I said nope. I'm getting him off of Dexter and bringing him to Southfield. He's gonna get the best schools. He's going to do this and that. So he's been in Boy Scouts. He would always do that. And then now he's graduated from Farmington High School. And I'm having his open house one day in June. But I'm inviting all the lawyers. So basically people, attorneys, the lady attorneys. Can I say their names or no?
You can say their names.
Well, I want to invite Caroletta, I'm sorry, girl. Caroletta Sprinkle. Carla Marable,
Okay.
Chandrika Simmons,
Okay, that's good.
Vonda Evans.
That's right.
You know, and I'm inviting some other people who.
Am I invited?
Yes, of course you're invited.
Okay.
Dion, attorney Webster Cox. So I'm saying if that's something.
Yeah, Miss
That-
Sprinkle, Miss Evans, girl, we excited to meet you.
Yes,
We'll
just-
see you there.
just
y'all come to the
there.
court. Okay, you invited?
Yeah, I'm inviting them, saying because-
Okay,
And
you
then-
don't have to sponsor it. This is a little kids event. Okay,
This is graduate. Just
It's
saying.
graduation.
Yeah, and then what another thing is where we're going through. I'm trying to think of some. Well, however, it'll just be different people for you to meet. So if it's just something, but I'm at least know I can at least get 3 or 4 of them to that event. So it'll be like concentrated. What about Mr. Taylor? Ed Taylor. I'm talking about people who knew Quinn.
Ed, right?
Ed Taylor knows
Quinn. Remember?
Yeah, so just give me all. Yeah, because that's where I get a lot of attorney people I meet and judges.
And we talk, and we're nosy, and we like to talk.
Yeah, so we'll talk.
Okay,
Girl talk is girl talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking about attorneys in general.
Right, and then you get the word out.
You got to be nosy to be an attorney.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and to hold this space, and I got it from you because that's what's going around. I notice a lot in the general talk.
Shayla said that they
space.
got an event space. Which space are you talking
I'm
about?
talking holding space in different random rooms. You never think you would.
Oh,
Yes,
be in.
absolutely.
Okay.
Not a space, but I wanted to ask you about this space.
Yes.
She has an event space
Where
outside
is
of
It's separate
Plaintiff.
from Plaintiff Investment.
Yes.
It's in it's on the west side of Detroit. It's off of the Lodge Service Drive.
Quite nice.
It's down the street from Quite Nice.
What's your place?
It's called the Studio Lounge Detroit. We're on Instagram. We can be booked through a platform called Pure Space. Very nice place. We've had it almost 2 years. It's, we're proud of it. We're very proud of it.
But I'm very happy that you have been able to take buildings that, for whatever reason, whatever they may, and repurpose those buildings, because you're always looking for a space. So those are wonderful ideas, and especially on and they're always decorated so nicely. I know because it almost becomes like a blank canvas, and you can create whatever you want it to be. And with a great event planner, I know Darnetta, serialpreneur, she does. In fact, if you see my waters, they're Webster Law Office. She put the covering around those and my chapsticks that I give out, and she does different event spaces. Your girl Olivia.
She has a blown designs where can do the balloons and she can decorate.
I have a client, Sharita Laster. She does event planning and space. Yeah. How do they get in touch with Plaintiff Investment Funding? How do they do this?
So you can find us online. Our website is www.pifunds.com, funds with an S. You can Google us. We have some really great Google reviews, so you can check those out and get a feel for our clients' perspective on our company. I can be reached directly. I'll give you guys a phone number. It's 248-541-5080. Also 888-541-5080 if you're not local. But we're easy to find. We're on 12 and Telegraph. We have been there in the space now for almost 2 years, but prior to that, we were on Southfield Road. Our logo, as a matter of fact, is still on the building that we used to be at on Southfield Road, right at 10 in Southfield. So we're local. You can find us. Again, my name is Shayla Norman. Kelly Hodge is our VP of Client Relations. You Google either one of those names and Plaintiff Investment will surely pop up.
I have one thing. Can I do one thing?
Quickly, because this stops at 60
seconds.
60 minutes.
So, and I wish, do you have your Dr. Renaka's here?
I've got somebody that doesn't have
the leg glow. Because I'm looking, I should have grabbed one of my Dr. Renaka's.
Dr. Renaka's.
I've been a podiatrist for over 25. This is my real job.
Look at this, because this one's
I have been a podiatrist for over 25 years now. And over time, I have noticed that one thing that keeps people's skin healthy, especially diabetics or other people who have neuropathy, is a good moisturizer. And it took years to look for a product that did not have petroleum in it, because petroleum is what we make gasoline products. To me, I don't like that to be absorbed into your system. Right. So for the past 10 years, I've been making and developing a formulation called Dr. Renaka's. It's an all-natural skin moisturizer. I have 2 different ones. One has the shea butter, cocoa butter, avocado butter, mango butter, aloe butter, pumpkin. I say pumpkin. All of those mixed in. No petroleum, okay? With a canola base. So that's mixed in. It does have beeswax. So that's good. If you don't need a lot, so you can put it on and you will be moisturized for the whole day. And the second one I have is Dr. Renaka's Extreme. And that one is if you have some eczema, because that has essential oils as tamanu, which is from Madagascar. It helps with skin healing in different situations with irritations. It has rosemary. It has peppermint oil. It has lavender and oregano oil in there. So all those mixing in, plus the other butters, the aloe, pumpkin, cocoa, shea, that the other pure butter has. So I have a store on Shopify. So you can go to my Shopify store for Dr. Renaka's, Dr. Dr.WRUNAKS. And my mother gave me that middle name, Renaka. And I used to hate it till I got older and after I went to medical school, and somebody said Renaka, I like that because everyone else would say, oh, that's stupid with African name. They really put me down for Renaka. But now I said, I love it because my name was Wendy Renaka Webster. So I was a WWW. But then I married Jackson back there. So I'm Wendy Webster Jackson. So, but I still go by Dr. Webster. So go to my store. We'll enjoy the product. Thank you.
Today was a success. Thank you, sisters.
Thank you for
coming out
having
today.
us. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. This was wonderful.
Such a pleasure.